and then we'll make that reservation for you. Okay. So everything else is the same on day 3. Then on day 4, that's the day we travel back to Hong Kong, but our bus isn't until 1:30, so we'll have a little bit of free time. Okay, we'll have our breakfast, and then we'll go to the mall again, and then let you guys walk around. Some guys like to buy, do a little bit of shopping, and then you have a very quick lunch, and then at 1:30 we go back to the hotel. The bus starts at the hotel, and then we come back to Hong Kong. All right. When we come back to Hong Kong, the dismissal, if this is on another slide, I'll just tell you ahead of time. The dismissal will be at Shenzhen Bay, because once you get to Shenzhen Bay, a lot of people will have different destinations depending where they live. So some people might go to Hong Kong side, some people might go to Tsim Sha Tsui or Mong Kok, some people to the New Territory. So we will dismiss you there. We'll make sure you're on the right bus, and then you're dismissed. Okay. All right. Oh, Miss Lee put this picture of a skier and a snowboarder there just to remind me, because she knew I was going to forget about this. I know there's a group of kids who want to came up to Miss Lee the other day and said that they want to learn snowboarding. All right. I think is there 6 students for that?
7.
I think there's 6. Oh, there's 7 students that want to do snowboarding. All right. That can be arranged, but I need to make sure that you guys are around the same level, because if you're in the same group and there's 3 of you are beginners and 3 of you are advanced, then there's going to be a problem for the coach. All right. So can I get these guys? Like, who are these guys? Do we have a name list here?
Yes.
Who are they? You can speak to the.
Maybe Yat Long, can you maybe speak on behalf of the group?
Okay. Yat Long, are you here?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So, okay, you're the one who sort of organized this group. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm the one who wanted to do this. Yeah.
Okay. So is everyone a beginner?
Yes. Actually, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of
So
them
if
are
all of you,
beginners.
okay, so if all of you are beginners, then I think it's safe to say that you guys can just do it as a group.
Sure.
Is your plan to snowboard on day 2 and day 3, or do you want to switch to skiing on day 3?
Well, for myself, I'm gonna snowboard for the whole trip, but for the others, you would have to ask them, because I haven't asked them on this.
Okay. So how about this? Why don't you guys do snowboarding on day 2? All right. So you do the coaching session for snowboarding, and then in the afternoon you continue that. Because if you switch to skiing in the afternoon, then you have to go and rent things again. So why don't all of you stick with snowboarding on day 2, and then on day 2 in the evening, we'll discuss what you guys want to do the next day. How about that?
Okay, sure.
Okay, we'll keep that open. All right.
Or because on day 3 you also have an optional coaching session. So because your other friends might want to do skiing too. I don't know if they want to just use the entire trip just for snowboarding. So maybe you can work out the gripping. Also, because the ratio is 1:5. If there's 7 of you, you probably would need to be in 2 groups. So maybe you can work it out with your friends first and let us know what would be the best.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can figure it out on day 2, the evening of day 2.
Okay, I'll maybe organize a group list and send you the lesson maybe on what's later on. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see how you feel at the end of day 2. Just to let you know, guys, snowboarding is usually a bit harder to learn than skiing if you're a beginner. Okay, because your feet are stuck on the board, and to be able to balance to go down the hill. If you don't get it immediately, it takes time to. It might take a bit of time for you to get the hang of it. So just to let you know, so you might need a little bit of more time to catch on to that. So you might want to consider coaching for 2 days for snowboarding. So that's something you can talk to your parents ahead of time. All right. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Accommodation, right? Okay, this is the hotel that we're going to be staying in. So I can't read the Chinese for that. But in English, it's this Steigenberger Guangzhou. Sounds German, right? The rooms are very nice. I think it's quite a nice. It's quite a new hotel. All right. There will be rules in the hotel. There's a very big balcony outside, but we're going to ask the hotel to lock that because we don't want you guys to go out to the balcony. Okay. There'll be some other rules. We'll talk about it on the first evening. I mean, I don't mind you guys going into other people's rooms and talking and having fun and so on, but there will be some rules that you guys have to observe, and one of them being lights out at 10:30. All right, but we want to have a safe trip and we want to have a fun trip, so we don't want to have any risks. Okay, so I don't expect a lot of problems with you guys. The teachers are quite chill. All right, and we're quite flexible and relaxed. But if you cross the line, we can also be very very mean too. All right, especially me. So don't test us on that. Okay, next. Okay, for the room arrangement. Okay, these are your roommates. If you look horizontally, so across, those are your roommates. Based on your selection or your requests. The roommates, if you look vertically, you're further divided into group 1 and group 2. So the group 1 and group 2, these are just for logistics. So when we're traveling, we might divide you into 2 groups, like to cross the immigration line, for example, or we do head counts. Then that just makes things easier for us. The 2 boys in blue, Li Ka-chai and Zhang Yatlong, are you guys here right now? I know Zhang Yatlong was here. How about Li Ka-chai? Are you here? Is Li Ka-chai here?
Hello.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Good. All right. Okay, so you've been nominated as group leaders. All right. So group 1, Li Ka-chai, you're the leader of group 1, and Zhang Yatlong, you're the leader of group 2. All right. So we'll have specific tasks that we'll need you to do during the trip. And one of them is communicating with the teachers and then communicating that back to the group. And then on several occasions, we'll ask you guys to do head counts. So you'll need to be able to do that for us on the spot. All right, but we'll let you know what those tasks are during the trip. All right. So do you accept this duty?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
All right, good. Okay, next. Okay, so for those of you who often go skiing, I think this is something that you should already know. For those of you who are skiing for the first time, just give you a little bit of an explanation on how to prepare well for this trip. All right. We'll be skiing on snow, so obviously it's going to be in a cold environment. All right. When we go skiing, the best way to dress is to have a 3-layered three-layered wear. All right. So probably the most important layer is actually your base layer. You see people with different jackets on and so on, but actually I would argue the most important layer is the base layer. You need to have something that is hugging your body. You don't want it loose. The reason for that is because you want to trap heat. All right, but you also want something that's breathable and something that wicks your sweat away. So you don't want cotton because that'll absorb your sweat, and if that happens, once it gets very cold, your sweat is going to freeze, and you're gonna get sick that way. All right. I think the best place to get something like that is to go to like Uniqlo. They've got those heat tech ones, undershirts, or go to Decathlon. It's summer now, so they don't have any ski wear, but they may still have some of this base layer stuff here. All right, so that's something that hopefully either you already have at home. If not, you might have to go out and look for that. All right, so make sure it's something that's hugging your body, not too tight. It has to be comfortable, but it shouldn't be loose. If it's loose, you're gonna lose a lot of that heat. Your middle layer is something that should also be very comfortable for you, and the level of thickness of the middle layer will also depend on where you're going to ski. And since this is indoor and it's controlled, and we know what the temperature is going to be, I think it's like minus 4 or 5. It's not that bad. So I don't think that you'll need something that's too thick and too warm. I tell the guys that have gone to the ski trip in the past that your PE uniform, that track suit that you guys have. Some of you have the white one, some of you have the navy blue one. That's the perfect one to have. Okay, so it's not too hot. It's thick enough for you to stay warm inside, and it's also got that collar so you can fall all the way up. All right, so if you don't have a proper ski mid-layer jacket, like a fleece jacket or very light fleece jacket, that one is probably good enough. For the outer layer, if that's the one that you can actually rent from the ski place, so you don't need to bring one. But some of you already have ski jackets, and if you want to bring your own, then that's fine. So the outer layer, that's the one that keeps you warm, but it also keeps you dry, because that's the waterproof shell on the outside. All right, so you want to make sure you have your base layer and your mid layer, and the outer layer, that's an option for you to bring or not, because that you can rent from the ski place, and that's also included, so you don't have to pay. You've already paid for that. All right, so you don't have to bring extra money for that. Okay, next. So these are the things you need to bring. All right, so please take a photo of this. We'll give you the PowerPoint later, anyways. But this is probably one of the pages that you want to take note of. All right, these are the things that you have to bring. You make sure you have your own base layer. You can't rent that. If you forgot, there are shops there that you can buy it. Okay, but it's not very cheap, because a lot of the base layers that they sell are imported from overseas. Make sure you bring your second layer. You'll need your own gloves, because the gloves you can't rent. Now, if you don't have ski gloves, there's a lot of people around the ski area or outside the mall. They're selling the gloves there, and they're pretty cheap. They're like $20 or $30 renminbi. So they're okay. They're not the best quality though, especially if you're a snowboarder. Your hands are going to be on the ground a lot. You'll be touching the snow, and the snow is going to melt, and then if it's a very cheap glove, then it's just going to go through the glove and make your hands all soaked. So if you have good gloves at home, make sure you bring them along. If you don't have them, I don't think you can buy them now, because places like Decathlon, it's out of season. You can buy good gloves there. All right, of course they're going to be a little bit more expensive than the cheaper ones, but if it's you can think of it as an investment. All right, if you enjoy skiing or snowboarding, I think it's fine to buy your own gloves and just keep them for the next trip. Make sure you have long, thick socks. All right. There's a reason why you want them long, because the ski boots that you're wearing, sometimes they push into your shin bone, and it could hurt a little bit. And I know one kid last year had a problem with that, and I guess he solved the problem the next day by putting like a face towel from the hotel, kind of wrapped it around his shin. One nice hack that I've learned for some people, if you have soccer shin guards, those very small shin guards that soccer players slip into their socks, those are the best ones, because they're thin enough that it doesn't really obstruct you, and they're hard enough to protect you from the boots. Okay, if they're hurting your shin. I would say for most people, it's not really a problem, but sometimes if the fitting just doesn't fit your feet very well because they're rental boots, it'd be nice to have some protection there. And the last thing that you want to make sure you have is a small sports bag, because when we go to the ski place from the hotel, you'll be bringing your stuff like your base layer and so on to the ski place, and then you'll change there, and then you'll have a bag to put your other clothes in, and all of that will go into the locker. All right, and then when you change, you just dump all of your dirty clothes back into the bag, and then you just carry that to the hotel. So that would be a nice thing to have, so you don't have to carry your suitcase around. All right. Okay, next. Okay, so these are the things that you don't need to bring because it is included in the rental. But I know some people, especially more experienced people, may have their own gear, and if that's the case, you feel free to bring them. They're heavy, of course, so you'll have to carry them from Hong Kong all the way there. I do that. I have my own boots. I don't suggest you carry skis because I think it's a bit too much. You can just use their skis there, because getting them on the bus and carrying them around, it's just a lot more work. All right. Otherwise, everything else in this picture you can rent. Okay, next. All right, these are optional for those of you who have very sensitive hands. All right, and you're very sensitive to the cold. Might be a good idea to have these thermal gloves. All right, they should be thin, and of course they should be warm, but they should also be very thin because you're wearing outer gloves on top of that. So if it's too thick, you won't be able to hold the poles properly. So you want something quite thin for that. If you have very sensitive face skin, all right, you might want to put a mask on. Most people don't need that. All right, and in this case, goggles are also optional because we're skiing indoors. A lot of people don't even bother to wear goggles. I think they obstruct vision more than anything. So, and it's not snowing, it's not raining, and there's no sun. So I think, you won't need them. I think the only people that might want to consider it is if you're planning on falling down a lot and then getting, one snow being sprayed on your face from other skiers. So you could have that if you want, but for the most part, most students will take them off anyway after the first hour of skiing, right? Okay, next. Okay, here's another photo that you need to take a picture of. All right, so these are the items that you need to make sure you have, all right, before starting the trip. Make sure you have appropriate clothes for 4 days. Okay, so appropriate, I'm going to let you guys decide what that is. I know people will use the same base layer and socks for skiing for 2 days. I guess that's fine. We're all guys. Okay, you're not there to impress anyone. If they start to smell the second day, I guess that's fine too. If you have any personal medication, make sure you have that, all right, for the 4 days, and then the toiletries and so on. Plastic bags to keep your dirty clothes in. Make sure, if you're we'll allow you to bring your phones. You can use your phones during the 4 days, but because we're going to be spending the whole days 2 and 3 inside the mall, you won't be going back to the hotel until evening. It'd be nice to have a power bank, all right? And then of course inside the hotel you'll need to charge everything, so make sure you have your charger and adapter for that. For meals, and if you're buying stuff, for those of you who are not familiar with China, it's really a cashless society. Everyone uses either Alipay or WeChat to pay for things. So if you do not have that set up yet, I strongly suggest that you do. I know a couple of kids in previous trips, they weren't able to set it up successfully, so they actually had to depend on their friends to pay for them during the trip, which was fine. Okay, this is part of collaboration and helping out friends. But it would be nice to not have to depend on someone else. Okay, so please make sure that you have this app ready. And okay, I would assume most of you don't have bank accounts, but I think your parents can put money into your Alipay account or your WeChat account, and then you can buy stuff using that. So please discuss this with your parents. Please discuss this with people who have experience going into China and using electronic payment, and make sure that you're set up for that and you know how to use it. A lot of guys like to use it to buy, milk tea and have them delivered here and there. Okay, so it's kind of cool if you can do that yourselves. Cash, I don't think you'll need a whole bunch of cash especially if you have your electronic payment thing set up, but it's always a good idea to have something just in case, all right, in case you lose your phone. Also, when you come back to Hong Kong, some of you might need to take a taxi. Some taxis don't take electronic payment, they only take cash. So, how much you have, that depends on you and your parents. Maybe a couple of $100 would be recommended, but that's really up to you guys. When you're in China, we will be using WeChat to communicate because Google and WhatsApp is blocked unless you have VPN. But I'm not gonna assume that everyone has that. All right. But you'll still need internet access. So please make sure that you have access to a SIM card. There are SIM cards that you can get in Hong Kong that will that you can use in China, and it will also allow you access to Google, but it's not necessary. Just make sure that you have internet access in China so that we can make sure we can communicate with each other. So enough for the 4 days. If you haven't already, okay, please make sure you have WeChat for the reasons that I just explained. And when you do that, this is the QR code to our group. Okay, this is our chat group. So Ms. Lee already sent that out to you guys. If you haven't joined yet, this includes parents. All right, so this is where we're going to share photos and give updates to everything. And you're more than welcome to join and to enjoy the experience that we're having over the 4 days. So please make sure you join this. And if your parent is not at this meeting now, or someone's missing, please take a photo of this and give it to them later. All right, next. All right. Okay, more items to prepare. This is very important. These are related to the documents. Make sure you have your travel permit, all right, your Weihenzeng, your Hong Kong ID card. Actually, we should have wrote this one down. It would be nice if you download the eChannel app, all right? It's called eChannel, if you haven't done that already. That will allow you to get through Hong Kong immigration very easily. So you don't even have to take out your Hong Kong ID card out. You just show the QR code on your eChannel app. You don't even have to use your fingerprint. It'll check your facial recognition, and then you can get through very easily. All right. But you have to have your Weihenzeng card. You got to make sure you have that. Actually, no, we're going through Shenzhen Bay, right? Shenzhen Bay has they're actually testing out a new system where it's just facial recognition. So yeah, so if you've already registered your facial recognition with in China, then you might not even need to use your Weihenzeng to go through. But make sure you have it with you anyway, just in case. Your travel insurance. Okay, so when you guys signed up for this, actually, maybe we can go to the next slide when we talk about travel insurance. Okay, your travel insurance, you need to make sure that you have, and we need to make sure that you have travel insurance, or you have coverage, because if there is an emergency, this is the hospital very close by, all right, to the ski place, but we need to make sure that you're covered. All right. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you inform us of what insurance coverage you have. So boys and parents, please go into this link, this QR code, or take a photo and give it to your parents later, and make sure you upload this before we leave on Sunday. On Sunday, I will check this. If anyone does not have insurance, does not show evidence of insurance, I will not let you on the bus, because I'm not going to take a risk with the group taking you without that insurance. All right. So please make sure you have that. Okay. Just show us a copy of the insurance, or the type of insurance that you have. All right. Okay. Next, meetup. Okay. So we will be meeting up at this address. All right. This is the same road. This is on Shanghai Street. It's very close to the entrance of, or the road entrance of the the Cordis Hotel. All right. So if you can find your way to the Cordis Hotel, the street entrance, it's on the same road. It's very close to that. All right. The green circle, that is the exact spot. That's where the bus stop is. All right. If we take a look at the next slide, there's some more photos. All right. So if you see that bridge between the two buildings above the road, that's actually the passage between Langham Place and Cordis Hotel. So that's the location right there. All right. Or I took that photo standing from the bus stop. All right. So you can actually see about a 30-second walk from the Cordis Hotel. And the bus that we'll be taking will look like this bus here. It's kind of like a pink yellow color bus, and that's the bus stop. And in front of the bus stop, there's a small, tiny park there. All right, so we'll meet at that park area where that lady is standing, and we'll gather there at 1:30, and then we'll board the bus around 1:45, and then we're taking off from there. All right, so if you're still not sure where that is, can we go back to the previous slide? If you're still not sure where that is, please take note of the address right now, take a photo of it, and find out where that is on Google Maps or whatever method you use, and make sure you know where that is. All right, so you guys are responsible for finding that spot. Okay, next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, okay, everyone seems to have a different destination going back. So our dismissal location will be at the Shenzhen Bay Port. We'll arrive around 4:30, and then we'll make sure everybody gets on the right bus. I know some people put location. What was that? Kowloon. What is that? The one next to Kowloon, and then there's the K11 Museum. Those are not stops. All right. So the guys that wrote that, we put you in Mongkok and Tsim Sha Tsui. All right. So those are going to be your destinations. And then everyone else is fine there. Okay. So once you're back at the port, I'll expect you guys to communicate with your parents to tell them that you're back in Hong Kong and that you're on the bus, and then you're on the way home. And then how you get home from the station, like if you're in Sha Tin or whatever, how you get home, you need to arrange that with your parents. All right, because we're going to dismiss you at Shenzhen Bay Port. So how you get home after that, like where you get off your bus, that's your responsibility. All right, next. All right, as I mentioned earlier, all of you will be getting 2 bibs. All right, probably not the same number. I will assign you a color the night before. So on the first evening when we have our briefing session, I will ask you guys about your experiences and then decide whether we feel that you should be in an advanced group or in a beginner's group. And that will be color coded, because once you're on the hill, it's very hard to identify who's who. So this is why we have these bibs. All right, then we'll know, okay, first of all, he's our kid. Okay, he's a DBS kid. And then second, okay, we know he's an advanced so he's fine, or oh, he's a beginner, why is he on the advanced slope? So then we go up and I'll take you down or something. All right. When you return, okay, you'll keep these bibs, and please make sure you wash them before you take them back to school on the 23rd. That's the day for the core exhibition. Is that right? Yeah. So make sure you bring them back, take them back to the admin office, and then we're able to identify who's brought them back by your number. If you lose the bib, you got to pay for it. All right. They're not cheap. They're about $100 each. So you need to pay for that. So hopefully that doesn't happen. All right. And I think that's about it. Are there any questions from anyone? If you have questions, feel free to just ask them, or you can write them in the chat. Okay, there's no questions. Wow. I'm going to assume that it's because we're very well prepared so that there are no questions. No concerns? Everybody happy?
Can I invite everybody to just join this WeChat group so we can actually test that if there's any problems, or like we'll actually switch the communication channel to this WeChat group just for easier communication instead of emails, and like we don't have another meetings anymore. So any reminders, questions, you can continue asking in the group. So if you can do it now, that would be much easier. If your friends is not in the meeting now, can you also take a picture and let them know just to join in as well?
So we will be posting this PowerPoint on Manage. Should we do that on ManageBack, Ms. Lee?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we'll post that right after the meeting. So you can download the PowerPoint and then go through everything yourself again, just in case you haven't taken photos. And we'll see you guys on the 15th then. Okay, last chance for questions. Of course, if you have other questions later, you can always ask in the group, okay, in the WeChat group. And we'll answer you there. All right, then that's it today. All right, thanks guys for coming.
Oh, wait.
Zhang Long, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Just
Yep.
a quick one. It's like for the last ski trip, I remember there was like a photographer on day 3. And I was just wondering if, there would be any chance that we could also have one this time, or would it be discussed later on?
So there was what on day 3?
A photographer.
Oh, photographer. Yeah. We'll definitely arrange one. So Zhang Long is talking about last time when we went, we hired a professional photographer to follow our students around. That's another reason to have the bib, so he can identify us. So he would follow our students around, and he would take professional photos and videos of skiing in action. It's actually really cool. And there's no way that the teachers would be able to do something like that, because he's got the professional equipment, and they're good skiers themselves, so they just follow the people around and take you guys in action. So what happens is that he's got a QR code, all right, on his vest, and you just take a photo of his code and get connected with him on WeChat, and then every day, at the end of every day, he uploads all the photos and videos that he takes of people. So you just go up to his WeChat account, and then you see your own photos and videos. If you want it, you download it, and you pay him, and then you download it. I think it's something like 10 or $20 or something. It's very reasonable for the service that you get. You can actually share that code with your parents too, and then they can go online and look for you. But because he takes hundreds of photos, okay, so the way that you're able to find your photo is by the time. Like, he divides it by time. So like between let's say 3 to 4 p.m. there's this set of photos, and between 4 and 5 p.m. there's this set of photos. So you need to remember the time or which hour that the photographer is following you. All right. Anything else? Okay, then that's it today. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, parents. See you guys on the 15th.